people think America's first female soldier was Demi Moore in G.I. Jane, which is not true, although she was the first Marine to strip her way through West Point. The truth is, there have been women fighting wars since the beginning of America. During the Revolutionary War, Deborah Sampson was the first known woman to enlist. And to do so, she had to pose as a man, which had its ups and downs. On the one hand, she had to put herself in grave danger. On the other hand, she didn't have to wear a corset anymore, which, if you ask me, is worth risking your life for. And Sampson didn't just fight in the war, she kicked ass. She led a raid that captured 15 men. That's right, a woman took down 15 men without the help of Ronan Farrow. In the Civil War, another woman named Melinda Blaylock also posed as a man to enlist. It's weird that America doesn't know her story because she fought for the Confederacy. You'd think there'd be statues of her all over. But Blaylock was secretly a Union sympathizer, trying to desert the Confederates and escape up north. But before she could, she was shot in the shoulder and discovered as a woman by an Army doctor. That's a huge sacrifice because as soon as your doctor realizes you're a woman, all your premiums go up. After Blaylock was discharged for the crime of having a vagina, she escaped to Tennessee and joined up with the Union Army, helping it to win the Civil War, end slavery, and defeat racism in America once and for all. At least that's what my nephew's textbook says. He goes to school in Texas. By World War I, women didn't have to drag race their way into service. They were actually allowed to enlist. In 1918, Opha May Johnson was the first woman to join the United States Marine Corps, along with 300 other women, and they came to be known as the Marinettes. Although, to their credit, Marine officials distanced themselves from that nickname, probably because Marinettes sounds less like soldiers and more like a dance troupe that does high kicks on the battlefield, which is really just giving the enemy unrealistic expectations of what their legs should look like. By World War II, women weren't just fighting on the ground, they were taking to the skies. America had a shortage of pilots, so women were trained to fly military aircrafts. These women were known as WASPs, which stood for Women Air Force Service Pilots, and not, as many believe, wet-ass service pilots. This was just another example of women getting to step up during the war to do jobs previously reserved for men. Flying planes, playing baseball, women even had to fill in for mansplainers. See, the reason they call it World War II is because it's a second one. It's a math thing, you wouldn't understand. I gotta hammer some shit. World War II saw another first for women when Charity Adams Earley became the first African-American female Army officer and led the first battalion of black women to be stationed overseas. Which means without her inspiration, we never would have had Beyonce's Super Bowl halftime show. Early was given the daunting task of delivering airplane hangars full of undelivered mail to the soldiers fighting in Europe. And she did such an amazing job that she was eventually promoted to lieutenant colonel, which back then was the highest rank a woman was allowed to have, just above HBIC and girl boss. But not every woman fighting in World War II was as visible as Army officers and Air Force pilots. And in one case, that was on purpose. Virginia Hall was one of the Allies' most important spies. She recruited resistance fighters, directed them to the Allied invasion, rescued 12 fellow agents out of an internment camp, and she did it all with a peg leg. You kidding me? I take a sick day when I stub my toe. The Nazis called Hall the enemy's most dangerous spy, but she was more affectionately known as the Limping Lady of Lyon. And she gathered intelligence from everywhere, from nuns to brothel owners, basically anyone who spanks men with a ruler. Hall was truly a master of espionage, like James Bond without all the pouting and STDs. But it wasn't all sunshine and jet fuel for women veterans. The families of the women who died while serving didn't get any survivor benefits or burial expenses. And the women who made it through the war didn't even get veteran status until the late 70s, which is so messed up. Also, if you're not an official veteran, your dog doesn't get excited when you surprise him by coming home. Barely even looks up. So this Veterans Day, we salute the women who have kept America safe. They paved the way for all the brave women fighting today, and the ones who will fight in the future, once the robot apocalypse kicks off. And they also inspired me to avoid the line for the women's bathroom.